My best friend, Emily Summers, who had always been terrified of dogs, suddenly told me she was planning to buy a pet dog. That's when I knew that she had been reincarnated, too. In my previous life, I bought a pure white toy poodle from a pet shop. From the moment that little dog came into my home, everything in my life turned around. Morgan Hale, our manager, who had always been at odds with me, suddenly offered me a promotion and a raise. Even the client I've been struggling to win over for months personally requested to sign the deal with me. But the most unbelievable change of all, I love Sullivan. The company's tall, rich and handsome CEO got down on one knee and proposed to me after a party, saying he wanted to marry me. I had said yes and even invited Emily to the wedding to witness my happiest moment. However, driven by jealousy, she stabbed me to death on the day of the wedding. Why should someone like you get to marry a CEO while I'm stuck working 3 shifts a day like a damn slave? The next time I opened my eyes, I was back at that moment, standing beside her at the pet shop looking at dogs. That toy poodle is so adorable, sir. How much is it? I'll take it. Inside the bustling pet market, my best friend, Emily Summers, who'd always been terrified of dogs, rushed up to the pet shop owner, not even bothering to ask the price before claiming Snowy, the fluffy white poodle, for herself. Then she quickly scooped Snowy into her arms, clutching it like she was afraid I'd snatch it away. Watching her, I instantly knew she had been reborn too. Sure enough, Emily beamed as she cuddled Snowy, then gave me a triumphant glance. Sorry, Mia, I know you wanted this dog too, but I beat you to it. Now I'm gonna be on a roll, get rich and who knows, maybe even meet my Prince Charming. She was practically glowing with excitement, the gleam in her eyes screaming victory. Nevertheless, I just looked at her with a calm expression. I never wanted that dog. Now holding that same white poodle in her arms, Emily was bursting with excitement. The very next day, she brought Snowy to the office and wasted no time showing it off to everyone. Of course, she made sure to glance in Morgan's direction while doing it. Sure enough, Morgan gave us both a surprised look, her eyes scanning between us. You bought that poodle, but I thought you were afraid of dogs. Emily jumped in immediately. Me afraid of dogs? Never. I love these cute little poodles. I'm going to take care of her forever. Hearing that, Morgan's expression shifted slightly. After a brief pause, she told Emily to bring Snowy into her office. Emily strutted in with Snowy. She practically skipped over to me, barely able to contain herself. Mia, you'll never believe it. I got promoted with a raise. I'm going to be your direct manager from now on. Soon I'll be handling major projects, becoming a top executive and eventually marrying. She cut herself off with a theatrical glance to the side, but the flushed pride on her face was impossible to miss. And she looked back at me with smug disdain. As for you, you're just going to be another corporate workhorse slaving away at your 9-to-9 grind forever. Don't even dream about competing with me. With that, she picked up the poodle and strutted out of the office. I watched her retreating back and let out a quiet laugh, the corners of my lips curling up. If she wanted the luck Snowy brought so badly, then she'd better be ready for the disaster that came with it, too. Emily was finally basking in glory at the company. The HR department quickly announced her promotion and raise. Leadership praised her repeatedly in meetings, calling her competent and highly capable. Within a few days, multiple clients came knocking, all specifically requesting to sign deals with her. Emily strutted around like a proud peacock. Her chin raised so high that she was practically looking down her nose at me. Mia, you must be so jealous right now, huh? Well, too bad you're not as pretty as me and you're definitely not as talented. My advice, back up to me now. Who knows, once I marry into a rich family, I might let you be a maid at my house. With that, she turned and walked away on 4-inch stilettos, clicking loudly with every smug step. The rest of the team had been thoroughly worn down by her arrogance over the past few days. They started whispering among themselves, has Emily totally lost it? She got promoted to some minor management role and now she thinks she runs the place. Today, she even warned me not to piss her off. She claims she's about to marry into a wealthy family. Marry into a wealthy family, please. As if she gets a dog and suddenly thinks she's some society heiress. She's been bragging that she's gonna be Mr. Sullivan's wife. She's absolutely delusional. Everyone was annoyed and mocking her behind her back, convinced she was full of herself. But I knew the truth. Everything Emily said was true. She really was about to marry into wealth. She would become Silas Sullivan's wife and reach the pinnacle of her life. Alas, that was also the beginning of her nightmare. Soon, thanks to landing multiple major deals, Emily became the company's top salesperson. To celebrate the team hitting its quarterly target, the company threw a cocktail party. Emily was over the moon because she remembered exactly what happened in our past life. It was at that same party where our CEO, Silas, had fallen in love with me at first sight. Right then and there, he had confessed his feelings, proposed, and asked me to be his wife. Overnight, I went from an invisible employee to the future Mrs. Sullivan. Emily must have been dying of envy back then. So in this life, the second she heard about the cocktail party, she couldn't contain herself. She dressed to the nines that night, wearing almost the exact same gown, heels, hairstyle, and lipstick I'd worn at that party in our last life. Except for one thing, which was the most important detail of all, snowy. Sure enough, as soon as she arrived, Emily locked her eyes on Silas across the room. She was just about to make her move when he turned and looked straight at her. Right in front of everyone. He began striding over. Emily's excitement was impossible to hide. She batted her lashes and leaned in coyly. "Mr. Sullivan, where's the toy poodle?" He cut her off. "Why didn't you bring it with you?" Silas's voice was sharp, tinged with urgency. As he grabbed Emily by the wrist, he demanded, "Where's the dog?" Emily froze, completely caught off guard that Silas even knew about the dog. She stammered out, It wouldn't stop barking today. I thought it wasn't feeling well, so I brought it to the pet hospital." She wasn't lying. She had actually taken Snowy to the hospital. The dog had grown weak in our previous life. After I brought it home, I had cared for it meticulously. I thought it was just malnourished, fed it nourishing broths and kept it close by my side at all times. Even at work, I'd leave it in my car so I could check on it constantly. Terrified something might go wrong. Thanks to that care, it gradually improved. Its coat even became shinier and smoother. I worked myself sick looking after it. However, this time around, Emily had no patience or energy for the dog. Her mind was consumed with one thing only, marrying Silas. She simply dumped the dog at the pet hospital. Silas's face darkened. "How could you just bring it to a pet hospital? That place is full of animals. How is it supposed to survive in there?" Emily was stunned by the outburst and reflexively replied, "But it is an animal." "Shut up." His expression turned even colder as he barked at her. Then yanked her by the wrist and dragged her out of the room, completely ignoring the curious stares from everyone around. Riven by curiosity, I followed them. Sure enough, we soon found Snowy at the hospital. It was barking frantically inside a cage. The moment it saw Silas, it grew visibly excited, even having tear stains at the corners of its eyes. Emily rushed forward to scoop it up, although she still didn't fully understand why Silas had suddenly asked about the dog. She'd pieced together on the way over that I'd once taken great care of it in our past life. So now, in front of Silas, she quickly tried to put on a show of being loving and devoted. "Oh, my sweet little Snowy. Mommy only left you here for a tiny bit. Why are you so scared, baby? Come, let Mommy give you a cuddle." Under her soothing voice, Snowy finally settled down, slowly resting in her arms. Silas's demeanor also softened. His eyes filled with something close to affection as he looked at Emily. "I never would have guessed you were so kind-hearted. I like girls with compassion. Tell me, do you have a boyfriend?" Emily's face flushed bright red. She had been waiting to hear this moment for so long. She shook her head quickly. "No, Mr. Sullivan. Oh, I mean Silas, I don't have a boyfriend." "Is that so?" A small smile appeared at the corners of Silas's lips. He gently returned the hug, his movements soft and warm. But I caught the flicker of disgust in his eyes just then. The vet called out for Emily to settle the bill. Her face soured with annoyance, but she didn't dare show it in front of Silas. So she gritted her teeth, peeled herself away from him, and quickly followed the vet to the counter. As she disappeared down the hall, Silas's face shifted back to that cool, distant expression. He stepped forward, leaned close to the snowy white poodle and murmured softly, "Just hang on for another 2 weeks. After that, it'll all be over." My heart clenched at those words. 2 weeks. Silas was already this eager to act. The next morning, as soon as I walked into the office, I heard coworkers gossiping all around me. Then Emily is such a manipulative vixen. I can't believe she actually locked down Mr. Sullivan. Word is he's already confirmed publicly that he's her boyfriend. I heard it was love at first sight. Not only did he admit to the relationship, but they're apparently getting married really soon. Holy crap. How did Emily pull this off? Why is she so lucky? She's actually marrying into high society. Is the bar that low now? Right in the middle of their chatter, Emily walked in, decked out head to toe in designer labels. Her sunglasses perched glamorously on her nose. Behind her trailed a man who looked like a bodyguard. She pulled off her sunglasses and looked around the office with smug superiority. I told you all I'd marry rich. None of you believed me. You better show some respect now. I'm the CEO's fiancé. Then she started right up to me. Mia, you must be dying of jealousy. We used to be the same low-level grunts and now look at me. I'm your boss's future wife. Go get me a glass of water. I stood up and looked at her with a blank expression. You've only met Silas Sullivan once and he already wants to be your boyfriend. Doesn't that seem a little strange to you? What's so strange about that? She snapped. Beautiful women attract successful men. You wouldn't understand, being the plain little nobody you are. The more she talked, the more riled up she got. He deliberately stepped closer, lifted her hand and jabbed a finger hard against my forehead. And just so you know, I'm getting married to Silas in 2 weeks. I'll officially become Mrs. Sullivan. If you know what's good for you, you get down on your knees and start kissing up to me right now. Otherwise, I could have you fired in a second. I wasn't afraid of getting fired. What I wasn't ready for was letting Emily off easy without seeing how she'd fall. After a moment of thought, I went and got her a glass of water, then handed it to her with an apologetic smile. Here you go, Mrs. Sullivan. Emily was absolutely thrilled to hear me say that. She burst into arrogant laughter, then tipped the water right onto me before turning and walking away. Our coworkers were furious on my behalf and tried to speak up, but I just smiled faintly. 2 more weeks. I wanted to see how long she could keep acting this high and mighty. Finally, the day of Silas and Emily's wedding arrived. To show off, she video called me. The moment I picked up, she flipped the camera to face herself. Mia, I bet you've never even seen a wedding dress this beautiful before. Or a diamond this huge. Well, what can I say? You're just poor and tacky. Always meant to be under my heel. You'll be relying on me just to survive at work. How pathetic is that? I ignored her taunts and stared closely at the background of her video. There was no altar, no garden ceremony, and no grand piano. There was just a black crucifix. The eerie setup was exactly like what I'd seen in my past life. So it was finally happening. The scene I'd waited so long to witness, and the truth behind Snowy's so-called good luck, was about to be revealed. As I focused on the screen, a soft female voice came through from off-camera. Silas, is this really the only way? The woman stepped into view. She was breathtakingly beautiful, dressed not as a bridesmaid but in an elegant black gown. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying. Emily frowned. Who are you? The woman ignored her and looked only at Silas. You promised this would be the last time. Silas closed his eyes. It will be. A chill ran down my spine. Emily finally noticed something was wrong. Silas? Who is she? Why are we getting married in a chapel instead of the hotel you booked? Silas smiled gently. Don't worry. Everything will be over soon. Those words made Emily's confidence falter for the first time. The priest entered carrying an ancient leather-bound book instead of a Bible. Its pages were yellow with age. He looked at Snowy sleeping quietly inside a velvet basket. Has the vessel been properly bonded? Silas nodded. It has accepted its owner. The priest smiled. Excellent. Emily forced a laugh. What are you people talking about? What vessel? No one answered. The ceremony began. The priest never asked if anyone objected. Instead, he recited words in a language Emily couldn't understand. With every sentence, Snowy began shaking violently. Its pure white fur slowly turned gray. It whimpered in pain. Emily rushed toward it. Snowy. Silas grabbed her arm. You mustn't interrupt. What are you doing to my dog? Silas looked at her calmly. I'm saving my family. Emily stared at him. What? Silas finally stopped pretending. There has never been any love. I never loved you. I only needed Snowy's owner. Emily's face drained of color. You're joking. I'm not. He pointed toward the woman in black. That's my sister. My family has carried a curse for over 300 years. Every generation, one heir survives by transferring the curse into a specially prepared spirit vessel. He looked at the trembling poodle. Snowy is that vessel. Emily felt her legs weaken. But, what does that have to do with me? The vessel only works after forming a genuine emotional bond with its owner. It must be loved. It must believe it belongs. And once the bond is complete. The priest finished the final chant. The owner's life becomes the price. Emily screamed. No. A blinding white light erupted from Snowy's body. Black mist poured out of the little dog like smoke. It shot directly into Emily's chest. She collapsed. Agonizing pain spread through every bone. Her skin rapidly aged before everyone's eyes. Her glossy black hair turned white. Wrinkles covered her face within seconds. What's happening to me? The priest answered coldly. The curse has accepted its sacrifice. You received fortune because the curse rewards its vessel's owner. Promotions. Wealth. Love. Success. They were merely bait. Every blessing demanded an equal payment. The more luck you enjoyed, the more life was taken from you. Emily looked down at her trembling hands. They belonged to an old woman. She finally remembered something from our previous life. Back then, after my wedding, I had begun getting sick. My hair had started falling out. Doctors couldn't explain why my organs were rapidly failing. I had believed it was stress. But before the curse could completely consume me, Emily had stabbed me to death. Ironically, she had saved me from suffering an even crueler fate. Emily burst into hysterical sobs. I don't want this. I don't want your money anymore. I don't want to marry you. She crawled toward the exit. Please, someone help me. Silas simply watched. There is no cure. You signed the contract the moment you chose Snowy. The black mist finished entering her body. Snowy let out one final bark. And crumbled into gray ash. Emily's scream echoed through the chapel before abruptly stopping. She lay motionless on the floor. Her body had become that of someone nearly 100 years old. Within seconds, she turned to dust. Silence filled the room. The priest quietly closed the ancient book. The curse has been transferred. The woman in black suddenly gasped. The gray streaks in her hair disappeared. The dark veins on her neck faded. She looked healthier than she had in years. Silas finally smiled in genuine relief. It worked. I ended the video call. Everything had happened exactly as I'd expected. Except, there was one thing Silas hadn't anticipated. The next morning, police officers walked into Sullivan Group headquarters. They arrested Silas, the priest, and every member of the secret organization. Months earlier, after realizing the truth from my previous life's memories, I had secretly collected evidence. Every strange document. Every hidden payment. Every missing fiancé connected to the Sullivan family. Everything had been anonymously delivered to the authorities. The curse might have been real. But murder was still. Murder. As investigators searched the chapel, they uncovered records stretching back centuries. Dozens of women had disappeared after marrying into the Sullivan family. Emily was simply the latest victim. Silas looked at me one last time as officers led him away. You knew. I met his eyes calmly. Yes. You could have warned her. I shook my head. I tried to warn her many times. She chose greed over every warning. Silas lowered his head. He had no answer. Weeks later, I visited Snowy's tiny grave behind the abandoned chapel. Whether the little poodle had ever understood what had been done to it, I would never know. I placed a single white flower beside the stone. As I turned to leave, sunlight broke through the clouds. For the first time in 2 lifetimes. I walked away without looking back. Emily had stolen my fate. In the end, she discovered that not every piece of good fortune is a blessing. Sometimes, it's simply the bait